How to homestead, 4 decision phases. Your success is based more on your determination and decisions than in your current skill set. The How to Homestead series. We're here, and this will be talking about real estate market and homestead strategies. And we're going to dive right into this. And as always, the outline for today is up in the description. So go up there, and if you want the outline from previous weeks, you can go back to those and pull those up. Okay, we're now here to item number 6, the real estate market, current real estate market. This can be huge. The current real estate market will determine a lot about your homestead in terms of how you go about, what type of a homestead you're looking for. In a market that's really hot, like right now the market's been really hot around here, buying land is generally the better alternative than buying an existing place, because when the market heats up, house prices go up really fast and land prices usually don't quite go up as much, or they're less of a percentage of the overall cost. So building a house is often the better alternative in a hot market, whereas if your market crashes, then you're usually better off buying an existing place. And that was the case with us. When we finally were able to sell our house and we were actually out searching, the market had crashed. In fact, the market was crashing as we were trying to sell our house. So we sold our house at the bottom of the market. Lost money on it. Thankfully, we were still able to come up here and get a place. But at least we got this place at the bottom of the market, so which was huge. So I'm just saying the real estate market makes a big difference, and it also makes a difference in terms of geographically. Some areas maybe things aren't moving very fast. Anyway, so there's kind of a big mini boom going on right here, right now. So you got to factor in local considerations. I mean, some other areas maybe nothing's going on. Maybe a plant has closed somewhere. I mean, that would actually be a good place to look for land, someplace where the economy's gone, and then you're going to get land at a lower price. So understanding real estate and how it relates to buying a homestead. Watch some real estate shows. Start understanding the ins and outs of that. And if you're going to have to get a mortgage, obviously you better understand the financial aspects of it. So where are you in terms of your understanding of real estate? Consider that and put it on your study list. Now we get into the last item here today. And talk about number 7, homestead strategies. Now, this is something that I guess it's going to be hard for me to explain it, but it is strategy. Strategy is different than a tactic. If any of you have played chess, you'll understand in the game of chess that being able to move your knight to where you can fork the queen and the king, so in other words you can move so that they're both under attack, that's a tactic, okay? And a tactic is used at a time when it comes up in the game to where it's possible, okay? And that's a tactic. A tactic's like a skill in homesteading. But there's strategies involved in chess. For example, getting your pawns, controlling the middle of the board with your pawns. Getting pieces, your bishops, for example, on the longest diagonals that they can be, so you're controlling more of the board. So there's, on and on, there's multiple strategies. The strategies help get you in a position where you can use the tactics and get to the end game. Well, in homesteading, this isn't going to do me much good. I knew something was missing. So in homesteading, the strategies, there are strategies to help get you where you want to be. Okay, and it really helps to define a strategy for that. Now for us, the important part, the goals and motivation for homesteading was to get as prepared as possible for an end-time scenario. In other words, we wanted to have a place where we have water secure, we have some electrical, we can grow our own food, we've got food stored, we've got a shelter, we've got some isolation from others, something that's defensible. a number of factors, okay? Trying to get all those elements ready. Now that was what was important to us in terms of our homestead. Now, in order to accomplish that, our strategy is one of the things is to get things done in an efficient manner. Get things done in an efficient manner. Now, in our particular situation, I am still working, so that limits the amount of time I have on this. So there are times when I've hired things out to speed things up, the wallboard and a couple items like that. So here, it's been more important to me to save time. It's been more important than to save money in some instances. And so many times I'll buy a tool that's going to help me. If it's going to speed the project up, I have to look at how much time, because any time that I spend on projects here that's time wasted could have been spent on my work earning money to do other elements. So you got to factor that into your strategy. Other people, they may not be working, so basically anything they can do to save money, that could be part of your strategy. But I really encourage you to really think about some of the elements, because when I first started looking at homesteading, my first thought was like building a log cabin sort of a situation. And then I started looking at timber frame. After the log cabins, they were too drafty and there was insulation problems and they really weren't a good structure. So I started looking at timber framing. Well, I really started finding the same problems there. Well, timber framing's actually a lot more time-consuming than a stick-built house, and you have the problem. See, old timber frames were built like barns. You had your frame, and then you just put boards on the outside. There wasn't a layer of insulation. So if you build a timber frame today, you pretty much have to have walls on the outside of that timber frame, and those walls to be insulated, you're basically, it's going to cost you a lot more, and it takes more time than building a stick-built house. Now, some of you may love timber frame and be willing to spend the extra time and money. I would just say, think about it. What are your goals? Are you trying to get something put together as quickly as possible, or is it the looks what you're looking for? So, think about that. And if your strategy is to get the things in there quickly, look about manufactured houses. Some of them are getting really pretty good today. But this is all about your strategy. You need to hone your strategy based upon your goals and motivations. Another item, bushcrafting, for example. I think bushcrafting could be a lot of fun. I like getting in and whittling something, but you know what? Playing around with something like that keeps me from getting projects done around the house. So I don't do very much of it. I know I can, I know I have the skills to do that. And if I had a lot of time, I can play around with it and do it. Those skills will be picked up. But I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it. There's many things. If you're going to prepare for a homestead, I would get prepared for the things that matter. It's good to, you can watch some things on that, pick up a little bit here and there, but some people dedicate a lot of time on, bushcrafting and some elements. Unless your strategy is to go out and live in the woods. If you're not going to build a house, if you're just going to go out and live in the woods, then, okay, that could be your main strategy is bushcrafting. So, but then I wouldn't consider it a homestead. If you're going to be a survivalist, that's different than being a homesteader. And of course, there could be a time when you could get forced out of your homestead and have to live, off the land. So, that's what people are thinking about. But my suggestion is to get your homestead done first before you get too much into the survivalist elements. If you plan on getting a homestead, I would put your efforts into that and get that done as quickly as possible. And then once the homestead's put together, then you start learning more about the survival skills. So anyway, that's just a thing on strategies. And I've seen people, for example, they want to get a big mill not a chainsaw mill, but I'm talking a big, $5,000 mill to mill their lumber, and to build a timber frame. And if you really need a timber frame, I guess that's fine. But if you're buying a mill and you do a stick mill with a timber frame, that's a little nutty, because us timbers are so cheap. 2x material is so cheap. It's just not going to be cost effective to be cutting it on a mill. And then you got to think about a mill too. When we get a Teotihuacan situation, are you really going to be building anything? Seriously. You think you're going to build a house when, you know, you're worried about the gasoline, you can't buy gasoline, can't buy food, no, you're going to be out trying to grow food and you know, raising food and trying to keep the water going and everything you need on your day-to-day. I really don't think you need to be doing a lot of building. Where would you get the gas to run the mill? There's always parts needed. So, you know, think about these things long and hard. I know it's fun. I think a mill is one of the coolest deals out there. I'd love to play around with one. I don't know, maybe it won't happen in this life. I think they're really great and cool, and I still plan on getting an Alaskan chainsaw mill. I'm kind of getting towards, you know, getting some of my projects finished up here, but I would like to do it to be able to cut boards. I've got some nice cherry wood, for example. I'd like to be able to plank out boards to, you know, do some specialty things, you know, mallets or, you know, anyway, carve some other little items out of. But I don't have the time for it just yet, maybe another year or so. So think about your strategy. Think about how it fits into your roles and goals. What's the best way to accomplish those items to get your homestead together and fulfill those roles and goals? So, thinking about your homesteading, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And so, in the next video, we're going to finally get into Phase B. Learning and information gathering for your homestead. And in this, we're going to talk about geographic location, homestead features, homestead types, buy versus build, homestead real estate and priorities, and moving strategies. So that's a preview. Hope to see you next time. And remember, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. And we'd love to hear your comments. Are you on the process? What other elements do you think are important? If you can share that with others, we'd appreciate it. And please subscribe. Push that subscribe button. All right, hasta la proyecto. RH here.